Hey folks, welcome to the stream. We're just going to start and play our 5 minutes of sub-bench music, and then we'll get into it. So... we're going to play our 5 minutes intro music, and we'll get started. Enjoy. Alright. Hopefully that caught some people's attention. Oh boy. Yes. Welcome. Let's get started then. Apparently my cough decided to pick up just the moment I tried to start talking. Pretty common. So yes, I'm Ninja Kitty. Hey. And I play improv piano. Normally. Today we are playing Minecraft. So how this works, for anyone who doesn't know, I wrote a mod for Minecraft 1.7.10 that converts the MIDI signals from my piano into key presses from my keyboard. The goal is to beat Blightfall, a 1.7.10 Minecraft mod pack, while playing the best music we can. Now, anyone that's been paying attention or comes by, and is only watching like these videos and something, you'll probably know that it's been like 4 weeks. 4 weeks is a long time. It's like a whole month has gone by since the last time we played. That has to do partially with just an entire month of insanity. Yeah, from a funeral to a cat dying to the house falling apart. I mean, yeah, it's been a month, and so lots of stuff has been happening and moving around. So, and that has led to depression and lack of time, and like literally like 2 weeks ago, like my cat died on Thursday, right? I had to put him down. So yeah, there's a video with that. So, so Thursdays have not been a great day, because Thursday okay. So anyways, life's been rough. So we're back. The upshot of all that is that it's been 4-ish weeks since I've actually played Minecraft with a piano. Which means I don't fully remember how to do it. So the first part of this will be trying to figure out how to play Minecraft again. The second part will be trying to pick up all the pieces. Because if you recall, last time we did a lot of research, but we also were kind of running out of things to do because I didn't make any plans, and all the plans required doing things which required things that we didn't own. So yes, it's yeah, so we made some new plans. All right, so get back in focus here. We've got a mob grinder. We've got a way to automatically collect stuff from that mob grinder as if a player had killed them, so we can get like the heads and loot bags and stuff. Loot bags are good for ender pearls and diamonds. Good stuff. Also way too much gold. Good stuff. So we have all that from the mob grinder. We also added our blaze spawner onto the mob grinder, which means we get our blaze rods from the same source. All right, that's that unit, and it's actually self-sustaining, works, not a highest efficiency farm, but sustainable. We also have we still have only basic passive flowers to generate mana with. Unfortunate, but it's fine. It will work for the very bare minute moment. We also have a flower farm. The Jaded Amaryllis is hooked up to another set of passive flowers, and we can hit a button, and that will flood the whole area and push all the flowers out, and we're all going to be good. All right, so flowers collection good because it was hard to go around and break them all when I'm moving around with a piano. So, great stuff. We also have a way to get ghost tears. Way too many Gauss tears now. What am I going to do with them? I don't know. Make regeneration potions or something. I'll figure it out later. We also have a fair bit of iron. We probably could use some more. It's not infinite, but it's great. And that's kind of our main kind of what we got as far as infrastructure, which is a lot, right? And we have a whole ton of stuff. We have our basic Thaumcraft setup. We got lots of research. We haven't started on blood magic, and we haven't really gotten deep into Thaumcraft at all. But we do have a Wither Star, which is great. As I previously stated in the previous goals, were to try to get a Elfheim portal, Britannia type stuff, which lets us then convert and trade things across Elfheim to get the materials from Elfheim, which we need to build a Gaia Guardian arena, the big old scary boss in Britannia. And part of his phases, he spawns Wither Skeletons, which we'll capture the boss to end the fight early, and also save him for later when we actually are strong enough to kill him. And in the meantime, we will take the Wither Skeleton, put him in the auto spawner, and clone him, and then kill those to get more Wither Skulls to get infinite Nether Stars, which is really good for several very endgame stuff. Alright, so that's the goal. The issue in the way is getting Lapis. Lapis is hard to get a hold of for some reason. We need like 7 blocks, and as I stated at the beginning of the last episode, I only have like 2. So here's the plan. I have thought about all the things that we can do. That's partially why I was late today. Sorry about that. And I put some thoughts together and I made some lists. According to my list, I think the most valuable course of action as of this very moment in the game is to go focus all of our efforts on the Chop Golem core Golem setup. What this will allow us is to create a tree farm. Tree farms are very, very useful for this whole setup because the tree farm will give us wood. Infinite wood. Way, way too much wood. And the reason why that's useful is because we can turn that into charcoal. Charcoal can be turned into coal using blood magic, which can be then used in the QED to triple ore. Charcoal can also be used as a fuel source for smelting, which basically makes anything that we have to smelt free. The other thing it does is gives us torches. Charcoal also can be broken down into essentia for fire and potentia, which is very good. Fire is one of the ones we need a lot of in the end game, and potentia is another very useful one, which is used for making all sorts of stuff like niter, which is what we need to make more golem cores, as well as we can use it, I think, eventually also to duplicate charged Certus quartz and maybe Certus quartz to begin with. Don't remember. Need to go do the checking on the recipes on that. So it's a useful one. It can also then be centrifuged and broken down into order, which is a hard resource to get a hold of often. Order essentia. Not much stuff has it just base. Having that as a route to break stuff down is a useful way, at least short term and maybe long term, to obtain lots of order essentia. Because order essentia is one of the most important essentias for the Dawn Machine. And I was going to talk about that, and I said maybe this episode last time, so I'll probably wait until our middle break to talk about what's up with the Dawn Machine and how it functions and why all this stuff is wacky and wild and crazy. Alright, order essentia, very useful, used for a lot of stuff, important for the machine. Can be gotten from potentia, gotten from charcoal, gotten from wood. I am on the roll. Okay, charcoal can also, I know, look, charcoal is like one of the most coolest resources in this game. Charcoal can also be used, for giving to endo flames. Endo flames are a Britannia protection flower that take burnable resources and convert them into mana. This means that by getting infinite charcoal, we can then get infinite mana, and this is a fairly sustainable form of mana. Again, if you have lots and lots of wood, and you can turn it into lots and lots of charcoal, then you can get lots and lots of mana. It's a simple equation, obviously. Clearly, it's going to be that simple to automate, I'm sure. Alright, enough with charcoal. Moving on. The other thing that wood gives us is crafting tables. You're like, I only need one craft. No, I don't. See, the crafting tables can be broken down into Fabrico. Fabrico is the wonderful essentia in Thaumcraft of crafting. Fabrico's two component elements are Humanus and Tool, Instrumentum. That is very good because Humanus basically has every element in it, which means if you need any element, you can break down Humanus to find it eventually. Centrifuging is awesome. The other thing is Tool. Tool is humans plus order. Look, that's more order that we needed. Humanus is also used for making golems, which is useful. And the tool, Instrumentum, is what is probably one of the most expensive components of some very useful items in the game. Mending moss and what is the other one that I was thinking of? And use cores, which we're going to need for one of the other things I want to get to. Yes, I know this is a lot of stuff, but I did the thinking and I'm going to say it. And if you only catch like this much of it, then I don't know, maybe you can go back and rewatch my explanation. Instrumentum is used for, mending moss. Mending moss is a item from Tinker's Constructs, and normally you can craft it just base, but they changed the recipe in this mod pack. So mending moss requires an infusion process. What it does is it's an item modifier for tools, which auto repairs the tools over time, which means you don't need to repair them anymore, which means for especially expensive material components for the tool, you don't need more of that material to repair the tool when it breaks. Very, very handy for, again, very expensive materials. That's one of the reasons why we use bloodwood for almost everything, is because we can get lots of bloodwood and it's fairly good. But again, if I could use better materials, I would. Wood, haha, bloodwood, and all the wood things we're talking. Anyways, all right. Used golem cores are very useful for very different reasons. Used golem cores allow the golems that are equipped with them, Thaumcraft golems, to left and right click on things with or without blocks in hand or sneaking. Which is like, yeah, but what's good about that is that they can A, move around, B, click on lots of spots. Which means that if you want to build a sugarcane farm that's free and automatically running, you can make a used golem run around and break all the blocks, so it doesn't break the bottom block, it breaks the second block. So when it grows, it breaks the block, and we're good. You can also use it to automate netherwort farms by, I think the harvesting is a little janky, but you can replant using a used golem core. You can also use the harvester, but it's like takes power, so I don't know. You can also use the used golem cores for this other thing. Turns out there's this item called a thaumium gearbox, which the used golems can use to rotate, which generates RF. But only a little bit of RF that can be used for very specific types of machines. One of those machines happens to be a device called the lava fabricator, which, as you might imagine, fabricates lava. Very useful, because lava powers Tinker's Construct devices. Lava can also be used to make obsidian, which is useful for a lot of things. And then the lava can also be fed into a thermal lily, which will then convert that into mana. Mana can then be turned into RF that anything can use. Alright, so used golem cores are really awesome because they basically are free power. Alright, So that's why crafting tables are useful. All that from the chop golem. Oh, also, if you farm the right kind of trees, you get apples, and apples are useful for getting health upgrades. And that's not as bad as you think, because you only need like 20 of them total. But apples are kind of hard to get a hold of if you're not farming them. Right. Other thing that I want to look at is on this list. So we're going to be focusing on the chop golem if we can get anything done today. The other one that I think should be an easy knockout is a quick dip into blood magic. Blood magic is, again, complicated, has lots of components, but one of the things that we can do is we can use, one of the parts of blood magic is alchemy. Alchemy is good for transmuting certain items into other items, as well as making reagents for other parts of the mod. Namely, we want to use alchemy to do to create obsidian, because it's way faster to make it form obsidian inside the alchemy table rather than melt it and place it in real life and then break it. It's a lot faster. So, yeah, I think that's kind of the things that we're focusing on today, is getting our chop golem and getting ourselves the basic alchemy setup. And maybe in 30 minutes when I take a break, no, it's more like 40 minutes. We have 40 minutes of gameplay here. Then we can talk about what's up with the Dawn machine. So yes, a lot of stuff that I just said, but we have plans now, and hopefully we will be able to use them to great effect. Oh, also there is a plan in the works for getting lapis, but again, I think I've spoken a little. Well, I'm waiting for the game to boot up. Oh, it's booting. The lapis can be acquired by pulverizing blue wool. Why this works the way it does is because you're supposed to get a certain amount of percentage of getting dye from wool that you break down. But since dye in Minecraft used to be just the materials that make that dye, then in 1.7.10 the only blue dye is lapis, which means that when you break down wool, you get some percentage of getting lapis. Now that's like, well, okay, but you have to dye wool. No, you don't. You can dye a sheep and then shear the sheep for wool, break that wool down into string, and that will drop lapis at some percentage. Which, I mean, it's not a great method, but it is reliable. I have done this before in a couple games, and it's slow, but it does get the job done. It does require a pulverizer and a lot of power, and takes quite a long time. So that's kind of the setup that hopefully, if I can get somewhere in all of this to start running in the background, that would be ideal. But again, we're going to focus on the chop golem and move from there. So let us commence with trying to figure out how to play this game again. Enjoy. You know, muscle memory is a wonderful thing. Alright, we're about our halfway mark now. A little past, honestly, but it's yes, I know what I'm doing. um yeah, so we made some good progress. Had to unlock the chop golem still apparently, which is but we got it. Um we also got our so for the chop golem we need this axe of the stream. It's a pretty okay axe. You mine a block, it breaks the wood block farthest from the block you broke in the connected thing, so it should break the tree from the top down if you hit the bottom block. It also gets the tree if you break it from the halfway mark, so kind of nice. Though I'm not going to use it that way. I'm going to use it to make a chop core. I'm getting buggy vibes. Anyways, yes. Sorry, I'm getting things ready for our next part here. Very good. I think that's all right. So yeah, we got the axe of the stream. The next issue is going to be that we need 3 iron axes. We can't make iron axes. We have to order them from the ship, and I don't have enough reputation to order more from the ship. So we're going to go do some quests next so that we can get the things from the ship, so we can then make the chop cores, so we can then... Oh, we also might need to make a harvest core first. So that's all going to be a couple more steps. I'll also point out real fast, I got the Thaumium Golem research stuff set up, so we can now make Thaumium Golems. Those are important because they're the best kind of golem. I should go over golems again. I think I did at one point, but I'll go over golems again at some point, somewhere here, when we actually get the chop golem put together, and why you want different kinds of golems, and why lesser golems are still good, even though, you know. Anyways, but with all that said and done, I'm going to go take a break, about 5 minutes here, and yeah. And see, this time I remembered, and I got some music that I wanted to play ready already, so here you go. I'll be back. All right. So yeah, I know that song was 5 minutes and 40 something on now, but it's close enough. Anyways, yes, I got my water bottle here, by the way, in case anyone was like, I saw something. No, yeah, you did. Wow, cough, go away. Anyways, we were going to talk about the Dawn Machine real fast. So, I might have to pull out the actual research so I can remember what all the things do. But the basic rundown of the Dawn Machine and why it's important and why it's like the most fundamental thing to the entire game is, if you recall, the goal of this pack, it's a story kind of driven map mod pack thing. And the idea is that you've come to this world thinking that it was going to be green, beautiful, and inhabitable, and you wasn't. It was covered in purple gunk death. And people sent down, they died, you're the last hope, you gotta save the world. Cool. So the goal is to get rid of all the taint. The Dawn, if you haven't noticed, we can use ethereal blooms, they do a little area. We have Dawn totems, which do a large area. So what would you think the Dawn Machine does? Well, it used to do a really large area, which it kind of still does. But as of the update earlier last year now, they changed it so that when you give the Dawn Machine, I think it's air essentia, it will now, previously it just increased it even further, right? Huge area. But now the thing covers the entire map. So basically, you don't need to move it anymore. You just build it somewhere, you hook up a big old setup to it, and you got to make sure you got enough air so that you can reach the whole map. So yes, this machine is approximately H-shaped. It has two pillars on either side, and the Dawn Machine rests in the middle. Actually it's called the Cyber Totem. That's the thing in the middle. The whole thing is called the Dawn Machine. It's a multi-block. Haha. And the Dawn Machine has all these different ports, with different aspects on them. Each aspect goes with a different aspect, and you got to plug those resources in those slots. You don't have to, though. By default, it just basically works like a really big Dawn totem. But again, if you add air, it covers the whole map. Nice. But notice that the Dawn totems just kind of go randomly every which way. Not very good at getting everything if you just gotta let it go. So you gotta add order. Remember I said order essentia was really important? If you want to clean every spot, you kind of have to give it both air and order, because otherwise, right, it will then go sequentially across the entire map, cleaning everything. Which takes a long time. So you might want to then add machina, machine. Yeah, it's the machine essentia, which will make the whole thing run really fast. Or you can also add cognitio, which will let it skip areas it's already cleaned. However, you'll have to run over multiple sections, because I think it only hits once, or maybe I can't remember. Oh no, this is how it works. I think you need the ignis so that you can burn away the crusted taint and tainted soil. And I don't think when it uses that, it doesn't drop any of that goo, because if you recall, there was a tree that I was trying to cut down, and it had stuff in it, and it kept dripping on me. Bad. That stuff, if it gets caught under leaves, will cause more taint, and we don't want that. So if we do end up with goo, we're going to want to add vacuous, which will vacuum up the various goos and gases that things produce. That is, by the way, void or empty essentia. We then move on to the need for um, the arbor and herba essentias. See, because the ground is tainted soil. When it converts back, it's just normal dirt. So using herba, which is plant essentia, it will regrow grass off the top of everything, which which is nice. And the other one, arbor, will plant trees where the crusted taint was, so we can replant the forest without having to replant the forests. Very nice. It will also, they fixed it in the last update, I think. So now, before it would do that same thing on the Mushroom Island. Mushroom Island's supposed to be mycelium, and yeah, so I think they swapped it now, so it does actually make mycelium properly, so that's good. Oh, and then we get to another one that's really, really important. The Arum. Arum is Aura Essentia. It's generally hard to find stuff with Arum in it. Notably, the wisps have some Arum in them, and yeah, but Arum is kind of nodes, as often what we think about for Arum, and what it does is Aura, supposedly. Arum, when put into the thing, see, we haven't gotten very far talking about tainted nodes or what nodes do or all the nodes shenanigans, but needless to say, nodes are around and you can use them to refill your wands, and they can be tainted. And when they're tainted, they produce taint around them, which means if you clean it, the tainted node will retaint it. So to fix that, we add Arum, which will unclean the nodes, so they won't retaint everything. We can also put in Bestia. You know, this is a lot of Essentia types, which will then let us also clean the animals, which is important because apparently tainted sheep, when they eat stuff, they don't eat grass, they throw up gunk onto the ground, and then it taints things again, which is awfully annoying. It's because, right, you'll be cleaning this section, and the sheep will walk across onto the clean section and then throw up on the clean section, skipping the wave that goes by because, you know, you're doing order, and because it goes straight across and the line doesn't necessarily hit it, and then it causes problems. So, so I haven't actually run it on the whole planet yet, but I'm hoping that that doesn't happen, because I won't know where. Anyways, so if it isn't obvious, it takes a lot of Essentia to drive this thing. Machina is probably one of your lower priorities in Cognitio, because, well, if you hit an extra spot, you hit an extra spot. It makes it go faster, but it's not as crucial as, say, Arum or Ignis. Arum, Ignis, and Air are probably the biggest ones, I'd say. Air is absolutely necessary. You have to hit the whole map. You have to have Order so that you hit the whole map. You have to have Arum so you don't retaint from the nodes. And you have to have either enough Ignis and probably some Vacuous together to clean up all that gunk. The other stuff are mostly just quality of life, and also those sheep that retaint everything. So yeah, it's nice to have everything, but bare minimum, you need Air, you need Order. Which means you have to be producing a lot of it. Thankfully, there are some things that we can do to mitigate how much Essentia that we actually need. First, most important one that we generally do is that you can you send RF into the Cyber Totem itself, and it reduces how much Essentia. You can do the same thing for, you can add mana to it nowadays, and you can add, there's a ritual that you can build on top of it, a blood magic ritual, which will use LP points. Each one of these reduces the amount of Essentia it requires per operation, thus making it faster and more efficient, I think. I have to go read the research more fully. But yeah, so you can pause the device. Anyways, I gotta go read up more. But that's the gist. So I know, long explanation. If you want to know parts of it, go look, go back and watch the explanation again, or go look it up because I might be wrong. But yeah, I also might have missed a thing or two. So, but yeah, in essence, we need to produce the cyber totem to produce the dawn machine, and then we have to build a pretty hefty factory around the thing to actually generate enough essentia to clean the whole planet. And then we need the other magics to also aid in the production of those resources, but also to get their magic types to make it cost less. Because, yeah. So, so yeah, a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of thought process into automation, which is partially why I play modded Minecraft. I love the automating of things. That's what hooked me on modded Minecraft. So yes, should be pretty good once we get going. But yeah. So it all starts with the humble chop golem, the wood and all that stuff I explained at the beginning. That's why we need order. That's why we need Ignis, and why we need a lot of coal and such, because we can turn coal to melt sand, to get glass, to get more order, and terra, which is not useful for anything. Uh, but anyways, so lots and lots and lots of stuff to get through. So we'll hop into it. Yeah, I used another 20 minutes on that explanation, huh? Let's move on. Hey, Document. Thanks. Thanks for rating. Yeah. Hi. Nice to see you around. We are trying to make a chop core, and it's requiring more reputation than I currently own. Yeah, the keyboard's relatively new. Other than the fact I haven't streamed this particular game for like a month. Yes, I updated the mod, so now it can do cool chords and is honestly a lot more robust and way easier to add new things and ties to multiple devices and does channels and all sorts of great features. Also, I can turn off the keyboard inputs, and yeah, there's an on-screen keyboard now. So yes, lots and lots of cool stuff. There is a few new bugs, which is fun. But yes, I really appreciate the on-screen keyboard too. It I think really helps. All right, folks. That is unfortunately the end of our stream for today. So, thanks for coming and hanging out. Yeah, so kind of been a while, since we got through this kind of a stream. No, I was late again, like always, but I thought it went pretty well. We are on a roll. I think we should pick up a little more speed, hopefully, as we go. I am getting better at doing this improv thing against the inputs, so yeah. So yeah, we'll do a quick recap here. What we got done today was we got through a bunch of explanation at the beginning of today about missing time and about what we're doing and all that, and all the kind of some of the plans and the reasons why we want certain things, when and how and what. So bottom line though is we want wood, which means we're going to get a golem that cuts lots of wood for us. Very nice. So once we get that, that was what we were doing like this entire time. I had two very long explanations, so I didn't have as much time. I thought I was going to take a moment to learn the controls again, till it came naturally. Apparently it's just that well ingrained into my brain. Hooray. So we got ourselves we did some research. We had got the axe of the stream, which is what we needed to make the other device. We needed iron axes, though, and we couldn't make iron axes because we're restricted. So we had to get reputation. So I ran around in circles trying to figure out what I was going to do exactly, and I decided to do the quest line for the paranormalist, where you keep giving him more and more tools, and eventually he lets you, gives you stuff, which is cool. We're very close to that, actually. So we can talk about that a little bit maybe next time. It's not that big of a thing, just, anyways. So, that actually gave me, because I also unlocked the next one down already somehow. Don't know when that happened, but I'll take it. So we got, between the two, we needed 8 more reputation after we got the 7 from somewhere else. I can't remember. There was one that was already completed. Oh, it was a kill quest for the colonist. So anyways, we completed that by giving him the other stuff. And once we got those, at the very end there, we got the iron axes we needed. So, at break time, we also chatted about the Dawn machine. So if you want to know what's up with the Dawn machine, that explanation's there. Yeah, so a lot of stuff today, and hopefully we can set up the chop golem next time and get some hopper hops. We'll talk about those, and we will hopefully be able to get our lots and lots and lots of wood to start on the other things. So that is the plans. So, hope to get back to doing this every week. If I'm not here next week, it's probably because more disasters happened. But yes, thanks for being around, folks. Yeah, thanks. I really appreciate people hanging out. So thanks. We at the very beginning we had someone named NG under and EG. I'll go with EG. Yes. And thanks also to Gentleworks and Documing for stopping by. I see that you brought someone else with you. Hey, other person, if you're still around. And yeah, thanks all for coming and hanging out. Really appreciate it. This is, I know, a silly, crazy thing I do, and it's a lot of fun that I get to stream and rant about Blightfall and stuff. And I know sometimes my explanations get a little long, but I appreciate you guys hanging in there and enjoying it. So thank you. And yeah, thanks everyone else, of course, who's watching, who is lurking or stops by after the fact. Love to know that you guys are around and enjoying my music too. So thank you. And hopefully we'll be back tomorrow with just a normal, normalist stream. You know, the way that my streams are always normal. You know, because the normal type of stream is the one that we do 2 times a week, and rather than the ones we do 3 times a week. But also, we do the 2 that are supposedly similar, and everyone else is unique. So, majority? Anyways, yes, we'll wrap up. Yeah. Till next time, folks. See ya.